Here.
Ron Kinsley,
Sure.
Ron Buckholz.
Present.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. Next item is the Pledge of Allegiance. Please remove your hats, stand up. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Number 5, certification compliance with open meeting laws.
This meeting was noticed to the media and the public as required by Wisconsin Statute 19.84.
Thank you. Number 6 is the meeting agenda. The agenda is set. And for those that don't know, the internet's down, apparently. Did you have any luck?
It's coming back right now.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
So number 7 is public comment, but prior to starting public comment, we have an announcement to make. Mr. Alvarado.
Yeah, and this actually is going to address the agenda a little bit. So up until a few minutes ago, we thought we were discussing the Lake District again tonight until it was pointed out that the Lake District is not on the agenda tonight, and I apologize for that. It's not listed, so therefore the county board cannot discuss or consider the petition for the Lake District. We are going to put it back on for the Land, Water, Forestry Committee meeting in March. So I'm letting the public know that in case you want to hold your public comments. We still have public comment tonight, but it'll go back to the committee for discussion and then be back for the March county board meeting as well.
So with that, is there anybody that wants to speak at public comment? It's with the Lake District. Perhaps you want to wait till next month? Yes?
You're still having a resolution regards to the Lake District, sir?
The resolution regarding the statutory issues will still be
Yeah.
held tonight, yes.
So I still want to speak on last the other people as well.
Go ahead.
Thank you, sir. I know that other people also filled out the piece of paper also. My name is Rhonda Isold. I live at 11007 West Cheever Road in the city of Hayward. I'm firmly opposed to the Callahan and Mud Lake District, and I've written many emails and other documents in support of this view. I also have formally requested that my property be excluded from the Lake District if this board chooses to approve the formation of this Lake District. Please remember that more than half of the properties included in the Lake District do not have any signed petition attached to it. Also remember that less than half of the Lake Districts approved in the state of Wisconsin are still considered active. Of those, 65 have budgets that are less than $25,000. It seems as if the webinar on Lake Districts have given the county board a lot to think about in regards to how much power an approved Lake District will have. An approved Lake District will have the authority to raise taxes for district members by more than 30%, limit the use of recreational boats and snowmobiles, place special tax assessments, as well as other powers. A Lake District is not required to report to any government body, and that's a pretty scary proposition. Fortunately, the entire county board will be discussing a resolution that will request legislative changes to state statute 33 as it pertains to Lake Districts. This resolution asks that local governments be given the ability to add conditions to the approval of a Lake District, as well as the ability to monitor the Lake District. This is a great step forward in demanding accountability of any Lake District that might be approved in the future. I commend the board for this resolution that asks for changes in the state statutes. The Callahan and Mud Lake District should not be approved by this board. Many board members have shown a reluctance to approve such a district, and the resolution to be discussed by the board during this meeting is just further evidence of this reluctance. I urge all of you to vote against the Lake District at future meetings. I also urge all board members to vote to exclude all property owners that have requested removal from the Lake District. And please remember that this board has the unquestioned authority to do this per Wisconsin state statutes. I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Greg Geisel? Please state your name and address. Try to keep it to 3 minutes to be fair to everybody, please.
Greg Isold, 11007 West Chief River Road. I have stated many times here that I am not in favor of a lake district. From what I have read, and I believe the only way of funding a dam through a lake district is with a special assessment, which can only be for 10 years. I did some figuring, and at $1 million at a 6.5% interest rate, each property would have to be assessed over $640 a year. I believe my estimate to be on the very low end. Is this fair for everyone? Some people don't even have access to the lake without using the public or a private boat landing, which everyone in the world is able to use. Also, some people have multiple properties within the proposed district. How come the Lake Association hasn't mentioned this? Could it be they don't want you to know until it is too late? The assessment would be on top of the cost of insurance, maintenance, milfoil treatments, the cost of operations of the district, or anything else they want to subsidize. The Lake District would have power to create laws above and beyond county and state levels. That should never be allowed, but is. Years ago, the Lake Association tried to put a speed limit on the lake. I believe they would try again to do it. All this should have been brought up before anyone signed any petition. For those reasons, plus many others, I am against I asked the board to not approve the Lake District or at least remove my property from the proposed Lakes District. I am glad to see that you are gonna vote on a resolution to toughen these laws from the state. Thank you.
Thank you. Ray, Callahan Lake Road.
Ray Schnepp, 10896 W Callahan Lake Road. I know the county has declined to take over the dam. The town of Round Lake has spoken once in favor of the Lake District. I would prefer a partnership between the town and the county. The Lake District for me is the last resort. You know, yes, it would cause financial concern for me and my family if the Lake District goes through. But without the Lake District, the dam will end up being taken out one way or the other, which means my property value is gone. So I would reluctantly in favor of the Lake District if that's the only choice I have. Now, if you're going to vote at some point for the Lake District, I ask that you be fair and any properties that have waterfront or lakeshore be included in the Lake District. I mean, they can get onto the lake as easy as anyone else. I think that's only fair. There are some properties on Falcon Ridge properties. Our dam has a town road on it. Once you separate the road from the dam, you can take those properties off the Lake District. But right now, if any liabilities happen with the dam and there's a Lake District, why shouldn't they, since they have to use the dam because of the road, also share in the responsibility and financial concerns? So as I call it a contingency or a conditional grant that they are on there until the road and the dam are separated. That way they don't get charged for the dam replacement. But if anything happens in the future or in the present with the dam, they also have to share into it. So thank you for your time. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Deborah Freeman. Charlotte Schultz.
I'm here. My name's Deborah Freeman. My address is 9751 North Fairway Drive. I'm here for the 11D for the changing the Strabo property from residential to commercial. I live kitty corner down the road from them, and I feel this is going to be a hardship on our area, as well as the people of all the residential people that live there. There's very few commercial properties on that area, and one is mine at Price Right. The other one is the Somewhere Else Bar. And it basically has nothing to do with him trying to go and change the zoning. He wants to put a diesel engine repair business there, which I feel should not be there because of the area. It's a small area. It's only 1.25 acres, and it's really not big enough for what he wants to do. And I feel that would cause a problem with not only the area with air, water, and the noise. It would cause a lot of problems with people trying to get into his business because his property is not big enough for the trucks to even go in there and turn around. And he wants to do big diesel trucks. And I feel that it's not going to work because of that, and it's just the wrong place. He should try to find another commercial piece of property that he can put the building on that he wants. He wants to put an 80 by 50 piece of building on the piece of property. And if you've got 1.5 acres, it just doesn't fit in there if anybody would look at it. That's all I have to say. I do oppose this, and I would like to have the board not accept it. Thank you.
Thank you. Charlotte Schultz.
Charlotte Schultz, 16084 West Anderson Road. I am here objecting to the approval of the Strabo property from residential to commercial. I live right next door to him. And the property is way too small because there is already an existing residential home and other buildings. In order to build this massive building, the graph that he submitted to zoning and the planning committee isn't correct. You can add another 30 to 35% to that building, and it will be exactly 22 and a half yards from my bedroom window. The fumes and the contamination of the water table, our water table is very, very low up there. And as it is, he'll be right across from the old Hayward National Golf Course, which has a swamp area just on the other side of 27. The traffic, he said that it won't be bothered, except that I live off of 27 and Anderson. So many of these skidsters, they can't get into his driveway, are going to be parking on my driveway or near my driveway. And so because of this, I think you should follow the town of Hayward and deny this request. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Scott Schultz.
My name is Scott Schultz. I also live at 16084 West Anderson Road in Hayward. I've written you all an email, and Liz also was going to take steps to try and make sure that you got a copy of that email and hopefully emphasize that everybody read it. So I hope you did. And I don't want to read from that. I briefly summarize it. My biggest point is that this is spot zoning. Again, I'm speaking against the Strable rezone. This is spot zoning. Like Debbie said, she owns Price Right. The next business is the Somewhere Else Bar. That's about 0.7 miles in between there, and all of those lots and areas there are zoned residential. So this would be inserting a commercial lot in essentially a good, high-quality residential area. And at a time when this county really needs to be working on developing residential areas to remove a residential lot from the pool, if you will, doesn't seem to make sense to me. I've also mentioned all of the things that have been mentioned already. There's a potential for water pollution. Air pollution will be a definite problem because diesel exhaust sinks, and this area, as you may know from the golf course situation, has an air inversion or atmospheric inversion. So the diesel exhaust will sink, settle near the ground, and OSHA has determined that diesel exhaust is a carcinogen. Me and my neighbors, and many of my neighbors have signed this letter, will be exposed to this through no choice of our own. The noise between an exhaust fan running in the garage and just impact tools, pneumatic hammers, the type of work that gets done on diesel engines is going to be noisy throughout the day, and you have to race these engines to warm them up, and there's going to be problems with that. We're concerned about our property values. Nobody can tell me that if you insert a commercial property there that our property values are going to go up, and it's most likely they're going to go down. I'm very concerned about the lot size, and part of that is the fact that no plan has ever been presented as to exactly what he's going to do with the driveway. Right now, to have a diesel truck pull in there and try and turn around wouldn't happen. So that's a missing part of his whole proposal. But the most important thing I want to mention here is that the town of Hayward has voted against this twice, and it concerns me that that this board could possibly set a precedent of overriding the town's decision. Towns have their own sovereignty and make their own decisions, and there's many people that are sitting on this board that sit on town boards, and some of them want to be sitting on town boards. And if the county board overrides it, then what's the purpose of the town government? So I ask you to please support me, my wife, and all of my neighbors and the town of Hayward and deny this rezoning request. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Holly Robbins.
Hi, I'm Holly Robbins. My address is 11090 West South Shore Road. I'm here today to speak about the resolution about the Lake District specifically. I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak. I'm here on behalf of the signers of the petition and wanted to wondered when you have your discussion about the resolution tonight, if you could address why you have concerns that you need to have more oversight over the Lake District Board. I wanted to make sure, and I wanted to add a few comments to the letter that we actually sent in earlier and highlight a couple of things. Wondering if you are aware that you actually have a voting seat, permanently a voting seat on the Lake District Board, as does the town of Round Lake. So there would be two government bodies that would actually be participating in the Lake District and every meeting and voting on every action that the Lake District performs. And to me, that seems like a lot of oversight. And wondering why you're concerned and feel like you need additional oversight beyond that. Also wanted to talk about the fact that the Lake District is actually the most democratic form of government in the state of Wisconsin. every member of the Lake District gets to vote on every dollar that's spent. That's more oversight than this body has in the work that you do. Imagine if you actually had to present your budgets and have everyone in the county actually vote positively to spend every dollar. And that's the oversight that the Lake District has in addition to your oversight, would be the actual members and have more control than any other government body in the state of Wisconsin. Also wanted to point out that lake districts have been operating for 50 years in the state under the current law and wonder why we need to have additional changes. And a lot of those lake districts actually do have dams that they've built and maintained. Also just wanted to point out that as you are deliberating about the Lake District, to call out the fact that there's been some different numbers bandied around, it is in fact 62%, a clear and broad majority of the citizens of the area that have asked for the Lake District. And so that representation is over 130 people that we just want to make sure that their voices are heard in what their desires are. And that there's been a lot of focus on the non-riparian properties that would be in the Lake District. And one other consideration that I want to point out is that when the taxes would get done, if you already are a riparian property, your property taxes are higher. Therefore, you're already going to be funding more of the Lake District than you would be if you were non-riparian property. So that already bakes in a certain amount of fairness. And what I think is fair is that everyone pays their share. Doesn't mean that everyone has to pay equal amount, but that people actually would pay their share to help maintain this resource that benefits all of us. So I ask that you hear the voices of the property owners that have petitioned you to approve this Lake District as you continue to deliberate on this topic, and follow the criteria laid out in the statute as to approving or denying the Lake District. I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Tom Murray?
Hi, my name is Tom Murray, 10671 Falcon Ridge. I'd like to start with a letter I got from Steve Norquist. He's the assessor for Town of Round Lake. And his letter reads, I am ready to confirm that the assessed value of your property located at 10671 West Falcon Ridge in the town of Round Lake is not higher due to the proximity to Callahan Lake or County Highway B. The assessed value is not currently impacted and has never been impacted by these factors. That way, there's no benefit for me being near Round Lake or Highway B. Also, tonight I brought with me, I got DNR dam reports, inspections going back 70 years. And I don't have the time to go through 100 pages of their inspections. There's correspondence in here and memorandums that have been written back and forth for 70 years. What I can tell you is the town of Round Lake and individuals have tried to control levels and stabilize the dam for many of these years. They have added stop boards, log stops, gravel, and even plywood and fence posts to add more stop boards too. So after I found out you try to control the water level of any dam in this county, you automatically have to submit application to the DNR for a permit. And that's usually then presented by a licensed engineer in the state of Wisconsin to tell the work you want done on that dam. I asked for the permits authorizing the work, but I was told, and this was through the DNR, that there were none on file. With this dam being a state-regulated dam, this should have never occurred without DNR approval. I would like to know why the DNR continued to let this happen, because in the dam reports you'll see in correspondence, the wood has come loose, the wood has floated away. We don't know where the wood went, but they kept just re-adding this stuff. Where it ended up is down the Chief Lake, up on the shoreline, and starting to cause erosion in that, because we're talking over 50 years of this going on. As recently as 1981, the town of Round Lake was named as one of 3 owners of Callahan Lake Dam. In 1990, the dam was on a list of dams to be abandoned and removal funds were available at that time. In 92, the township disclaimed ownership of the dam. The town of Round Lake disclaimed in 92 ownership of the dam. I suppose because the gravel they dumped illegally was causing erosion and starting to form channels through the culverts under the road at that time. That was from a phone call received from a concerned resident on Callahan Lake that they had dumped, and they had dumped numerous times gravel into that lake with no permits. Why won't the DNR county or township take ownership? People have stated this, you know, they want nothing to do with it. Well, why? I was hoping maybe we get answers tonight, but with it being what it is, we probably won't. Sawyer County Tourism generated $150 million in 23 and contributed to Wisconsin's historic $25 billion in tourism in 23. They broke those records in 24. There's a lot of funding out there because we know how government works. They can move money around to fund projects. We don't need a lake district as our solution. We just need a group of people that want to really go after with the state and your representatives to start pursuing this money. Other dams in the county have been and are slated to be rebuilt without a lake district. I ask that the board deny the Lake District Committee proposal as is, and we have them redo the boundary to include only lakefront and deeded access owners. After that would be approved, anyone wanting to be included in the Lake District that feels they were left out of the district can write a written notice asking to be included, and then the Lake District can add them at any time. That way, anyone that wants to be in that district can get in it. Nobody will feel left out. If this is not done, I would ask the board to at least detach my property and the other 9 properties from the boundaries. As I hold 70 years of reports which allowed this dam to deteriorate to the condition it's in now. I was by it again today. Unbelievable. I don't even call it a dam. I passed probably 15 dams on my way up here. That don't look like any dam I pass on the way up here with steel posts sticking out the ground, logs laying, a catch cage laying in a spillway. Ridiculous. If the local municipalities won't accept ownership, why would I be forced to bear the financial burden that adds depth and no value or benefit to my property? And then just a quick note on Town of Round Lake Highway Department has already told me that if anything were to happen to that dam down there and the road needed work, that's their responsibilities, nobody else's. They would be out and fix it. Thank you.
Thank you. Bill Stable.
Hi, my name is Will Strabel, and this is my wife Ashley. We live at 9721 North State Road 27. I am talking about agenda item number 11, section E, Strabel rezone change. After 15 years at a dealership, I am starting this repair business to have more control over my schedule to allow more time to be spent with my wife and daughter. For this reason, I'm going to operate a small one-man business offering in-the-field mobile and in-shop repairs. This business would benefit the Hayward area because I would offer a dealership alternative for advanced diagnostics and repairs. The nearest location for this level of service is 60 miles away. I plan to go above and beyond environmental regulations by installing rain gardens and a holding tank for floor drains. This and more is addressed in the handout that I emailed to each of you on February 2nd. My family lives here too, so it's important to me that we can drink the water that's in the ground on our property. The shop that I plan to construct can be built without a rezone to commercial as far as the floor size. The reason why this should be rezoned commercial is because it aligns with the Town of Hayward's comprehensive plan, which designates all areas along Highway 27 commercial use. The Wisconsin DOT has approved a driveway work permit, allowing a driveway wide enough to allow semi-trucks to easily enter and exit the driveway without hindering traffic flow on Highway 27. My proposed parking area in front of the shop has ample space for the trucks to turn around and unload their equipment. This is shown on the map attached to the same email that you received from me. In addition, I have 16 letters of support for this zone change. All of the letters are residents from Sawyer County, 9 from the town of Hayward, 1 retired coworker of 12 years, and 10 who have known me for 18 plus years, who can speak positively to my character and know that I am a respectful and hardworking individual. This rezone has been approved by Town of Hayward Planning Commission, the City of Hayward, and the Sawyer County Zoning Committee. Concerns about this rezone have arisen from not in my backyard politics motivated by unfactual fears. This was a very close vote at the Hayward Town Board meeting. The vote was tied 2-2, and Chair Kurzweil had to be the tie-breaking vote. He covered his face and expressed that he did not want to have to vote in this, then casted a final vote opposing the rezone. He expressed later it was one of the hardest votes he has ever done. Chair Kurzweil then spearheaded filing a resolution of disapproval with the county after the zoning committee approved this rezone. It is clear that my rezone is being used to debate county versus town politics. The impact is that a business that can greatly benefit this community is being blocked. Please utilize the findings of fact from the email you received from me, along with the Sawyer County Comprehensive Plan, as you evaluate this rezone request. I respectfully request the board's approval for my rezone application. I will answer any questions you have. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. It's 7 o'clock, I got 3 left. Natalie Lillyblad.
Hi, my name is Natalie Lillyblad, and I live at 10730W Otter Lane. I sent everybody emails stating that I don't want my name on the Lake District. I don't want to be a part of it. If they want to do that, that's their business. But I don't want to be dragged in to something. I've never said that's my lake. I have never moved there where I'm at because of that lake. I don't want any part of this, and I feel I'm being railroaded into covering expenses that I have nothing to do with. If I had something to do with it, it would be different, but I don't. I am in real estate, and when a property has a negative thing added to it, it's called stigmatized. That's not a good thing. Adding additional taxes to a non-lake property is going to be a stigmatized thing. Any future buyers are not going to want to pay for Callahan Mud Lake when they don't live on it or want to live on it. So I'm asking you to remove my name from the Lake District and my properties. I don't want anything to do with it. And I don't feel I should be railroaded into this. I'm very upset about it. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Linda Zomer.
Linda Zilmer, I'm speaking to the items on the email that I sent to you, and I'll try to go briefly if there's one more person that you would please allow to speak after me. Number 10, I'm glad the county is embarking on planning, but I believe that is operational or organizational planning, which should have been done long ago. When that effort is done, I think it provides a good framework for really strategic planning, which includes your external customers, which are residents and property taxpayers. Regarding the resolution to amend the zoning map that the Strables just spoke to, I know your resolution is to deny, but I hope you deny it based on the fact that that should never really come to the town anyway. Everybody has a right to apply for a rezone, but that was not the proper location in a residential zone district that actually prohibits even auto repair. With regard to the animal control ordinance, 9 people spent over an hour at the Edgewater Town Board meeting talking about how they cannot get enforcement of dog control with the animal control officer. So I would encourage you to just leave your animal control ordinance as it is, or next month there would be maybe a request to remove dogs from it. Then with the allocation of funds for a temporary bridge, I did not hear any conversation in meetings as to whether this bridge is engineered and designed to carry logging trucks that are fully loaded. And then with the BEAD endorsement, I know that the Bertram Company presented to Washburn County that they wanted things other than a letter of endorsement, and I did not hear in their presentation this evening whether or not they wanted the county to make in-kind contributions or cover permits or to get the endorsements from the town. And then finally, the Lake District statute, I would encourage the county board to send this back to the Committee of Jurisdiction. So many things are coming just through admin or right to the county board that really deserve to go through their committees. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Vasida, you good? Thank you. Number 8, county board appointments, discussions, possible action. It gives me great pleasure to welcome for District 15 to replace Mr. John Sorowski, Mr. Dale Magnuson. Step forward, please, Your Honor. Just up to the microphone right there, please. Yep. Take your hat off.
Yep.
Mr. Magnuson will also be serving on the zoning committee, land, water, forestry committee, and the Sawyer County LCO Transit.
Hello, everyone, all the board members and all the people in the community who are here today. I just quickly wanted to say that I thought you all did a great job advocating for your positions, whether we agree or disagree with each other. It's nice to see so many people who care. I like to focus on the positive, and I took that as a positive away from that situation. All right, Mr. Magnuson, you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Please raise your right hand. I, Dale Magnuson,
I, Dale Magnuson,
having been elected to the office of County Board Supervisor, District 9,
have been elected to County Board Supervisor, District 9.
swear that I will support the
District
Constitution.
15.
Oh,
District 15.
oh, you're right, it is District 15.
Okay.
We need to change this, actually. Perfect. Mind if I just mark it? Okay. Good catch. We're gonna start over too.
Yeah, I thought it would let him finish.
All right, we're gonna start over. That's our mulligan. All right. I, Dale Magnuson,
I, Dale Magnuson,
having been elected to the office of County Board Supervisor, District 15,
having been elected to County Board Supervisor, District 15,
swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
swear that I'll support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
and will faithfully and impartially
and will faithfully and impartially
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
of said office
of said office
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve Mr. Magnuson as County Board Supervisor for District 15. Are we gonna do the committees all in one?
Thank you.
I'll second that.
So we have a motion by Mr. Buckle, second by Ms. Hessel to approve Mr. Magnuson. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Do we have a seat for him? Welcome aboard, Mr. Magnuson. Also, we have a Public Safety Committee. We're gonna add Mr. Jim Evans to replace John Sorowski and Mr. Jim Evans to replace Brian Bissonnette on the LCO Library Board. Look for a motion to approve that. Ms. Hessel?
I'll make that motion.
No, second. Sorry, Chuck.
Motion by Ms. Hessel, second by Mr. Righeimer to approve Mr. Evans for Public Safety and LCO Library Board. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion? Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Number 9, consider approval of the minutes of the previous meeting of January 16th.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Savinsky, second by Mr. Buckles. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion? Opposed? Motion carries. Number 10, strategy planning presentation. Mr. Alvarado, our administrator.
Yes, so as we've been, working on the budgets the last couple of years and had different projects come to the board, it's, been discussed that maybe we would benefit from having some goals or guiding principles or something that would help us outline what our priorities are as a county and have those come from the board. So I've asked Ariga from our UW Extension Office to talk a little bit about some strategic planning. She's done this with other counties actually, and would help us arrive at some directional statements, goals, that type of thing to help us as we move forward. So I'll turn to Ariga to kind of give you the primer presentation on what we're considering at the end. I'll have just a couple things to add. What we're looking for is just some input from the board or a motion that this is the process we're going to use over the next few months to go ahead and put it together.
Welcome.
Thank you. So I'm Ariga Grigorian with UW Extension, Community Development Educator, and I am doing strategic planning with a lot of local organizations and some local governments, lake associations, etc. So this is a straightforward process, but depends on what people usually want. This is a very customized process, and it's part of what we do in Extension. So let's move to the next plan. I'll quickly go through the steps. They're pretty straightforward. So one of the things that we really have to consider when we start the process is the real commitment to the process. So the board involvement and then ideas that we're going to share. It's a brainstorming exercise that helps you get your ideas out there on the document. And I prepare the document. People usually say, I don't know how it's going to look, but all the ideas are being aggregated and will be in the form of document. So understand the strategic planning. Usually strategic planning is when organization comes together and brainstorms for the next 5 to 10 years, depending on how many years the board will decide. And it stays with the organization. So sometimes when there is board changes, some people come, some people leave. Typically what the vision and ideas of the organization are or local government, they stay, and then people might change. And the process is a fluid process. Sometimes when something is a priority for this year, for example, maybe in 5 years, that issue was addressed and then it's not an issue anymore. So it's organization as it evolves, the process evolves as well. So things change, and then so does strategic planning and the direction of the organization change as well. Leadership of the board. Again, involvement is very important, and commitment to the process. I can highly emphasize that this is very important to have a successful strategic planning document. Involvement of the board and support that needs to be for this successful implementation. Next slide, please. So this is a 10-step process, but we're going to kind of merge some of the processes to make your work easy. And I submitted some of the ideas to Andy where we can kind of use your minimum time with maximum effort so we can come up with a very effective document here. So first step would be to organize the planning effort, which is what we're doing right now. Information gathering and analysis. So during this time when we meet, we will move on to the step 3. Mission statement. If you have a mission statement, we will review and make sure that the board agrees if there is any revisions or updates. Typically, people like wordsmithing that, and so there might be a person who would be the champion and take on to wordsmithing and kind of run it through the board. So this can also be a great way of discussion. What is the mission of the organization? And then the vision. Okay, typically this is the organizational direction. Which direction is organization going? Typically mission and vision stay with the organization. Next step, please.
Step 5 is the SWOT analysis. SWOT stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. This is where we kind of discuss what is the internal strengths and weaknesses of the organization and external opportunities and threats that an organization might face. And again, the SWOT analysis serves as a basis of that brainstorming process where we kind of review and look at the paper and say, okay, these are the weaknesses, and that might potentially serve as identification of the step 6, which would be identification of critical issues. What are the most emerging issues that an organization is facing? A lot of times in organization, I see the financial or the sustainability of the organization. A lot of times when I did it with local government, there was workforce and some other critical issues like broadband, housing, depends on what would that come up as a brainstorming exercise with the group. Formulation of strategies for each goal. Once we have the goals or those critical issues identified, we're going to brainstorm how we're going to address. And typically this is very important because in this part, we have to consider the resources that we have, okay? The resources we have as an organization, the opportunities, the possibilities, and again, do we have the skills? If we don't have the skills, can we get those skills by hiring, let's say, a third party or whichever organization we might think might help with those goals to be addressed. Adoption and implementation. Again, this final document would have to be approved by the board. And before the approval, it might be coming back and forth, and maybe there might be some changes or making sure that everybody is comfortable with what's on this document. So this would be a 10-step process. Next slide, please. Some ground rules that really have to be considered. Again, active participation, respect rights of others, speak for self. And if there is an activity you don't feel comfortable, you can always pass. Focus on what matters and take some risks. Expect unfinished business, avoid put-downs. Contribute your thinking, speak your mind and heart, listen to understand, link and connect ideas, listen together for insights and deeper questions, have fun. A lot of times when a strategic plan is requested by an organization, it's an interesting process, and all the ideas that are being contributed by members like that because they're being listened to, their voice is being considered, and that input is going to be in the document. So a lot of times the process is very important, and people enjoy the process more than the result, more than looking at the document, where a lot of time the work needs to be done while it's on the document. Next one, please. So mission is, again, it stays with the organization. The time frame is forever. It will be board description of what we do, for whom we do it, our distinctive competence, and why we do it. An ultimate end. Mission communicates the purpose of the organization. Strategic vision, again, we can kind of go over this process very fast with the Sawyer County, but we should not omit it because, again, vision would be communicating the direction and will set the stage for our next goals and SWOT analysis. Next slide, please. So again, I kind of covered the SWOT analysis, internal assessment. It's going to be the review of internal workings of the organization, structure, governance, management, operations, funding, organizational structure. Again, you might be kind of overwhelmed with what's here on the board. Extension has a lot of tools. You don't have to be overwhelmed. There are processes that will move this process very fast for you. And again, it will consider in SWOT analysis in strength. Today's strength may not matter tomorrow. Again, very important. Again, this is a fluid process. This part can involve department heads for county strategic planning. So in SWOT analysis, I've done in Barron County, and they did involve the department heads in SWOT analysis. That input was aggregated in the document, and the rest of the process was just the county board. Next one, please. External assessment. So what are the changes and trends that will greatly impact the organization in the next 5 to 10 years? What are the implications of these changes and trends for us? What should the organization do to respond to these changes and trends? So this would be the external assessment, which includes the opportunities and threats. Next one, please. Goals. This is a very tricky one. It's probably the hardest part of the strategic plan. Is after the SWOT analysis, we're going to look at those critical issues where we're going to identify the goals. And those are the broad statements that organization hopes to achieve. For you, Andy, did you discuss 5 to 10 years, 5 years strategic plan? For you, it will be the 5 next years, so 2030. Goals focus on outcomes or results and are qualitative in nature. Again, I will help you through this process. It's not as complicated as it looks on the slide. For example, it should be, a goal is expanded agency funding base that supports anticipated growth in our programs and services. So it's a more broad statement. Next slide, please. And strategies would be, strategy is a statement of major approach, okay? We have to consider what strategies we might have to address the goal and resolve that specific issue. For example, generate more revenue from programs, expand fund raising efforts. Next slide, please. Objectives, specific, concrete, measurable statements of what will be done to achieve a goal, generally within a year or time frame. Objective can be activity that would help you reach the goal. For example, the program services department will generate at least 5,000 from service fees by December. They should, objectives should have measurable, specific, attainable. So pretty much it's the SMART goals. Those timeframes need to be in objectives for you to keep on track to how you're going to achieve your large impact goal with some of the specific actions that you will take. So let's say fees by December 31, 2017. So you do have the specific date. Next one, please. And operationalize the plan. So these are the action steps, okay? When we have the goals, one of the things would be to come up with the action plan, how we're going to do that. And those activities will be an action plan. Who will be responsible to do those activities? When this could potentially happen? What resources are needed? And how will this objective be evaluated? So instead of maybe coming up with an evaluation, we can create, how do we know we reached that objective? We can create some milestone. I can work with milestone part can be created after the action plan. But for the process, it's important that we come together and say, these are the activities that we should be taking to achieve this goal. And the milestone, we can work with a designated person to say, okay, we will achieve, let's say, 20%. How do we know we will achieve that 20%? We can work with the county outside of the process to come up with those milestones to save yourself time. Next slide. So if you look at the graph, levels of the planning process, mission is a long-term, vision is 5 to 10 years. Again, the direction of the organization might change. Goals 3 to 5, for you it will be 5, strategies 1 to 2 years, and objectives 1 year. And next slide, please. So I kind of drafted what it will look like for Surrey County. For session 1, I will need the board members to be in a group and can be attached to a board meeting next month, depending on how you decide. Potentially could be March. 1 hour, it will be probably less than an hour if I move fast with certain tools. Session 2 would be SWOT analysis. When we did it with Barron County, it was a lunchtime, and department heads also joined this process. Or it can also be attached to a county board meeting, could be potentially in March. If this would be 2-hour session, maybe we can craft it to 1 hour, 20 minutes. I can squeeze that all in one. And session 3, I will send out on paper. So you can mail it back to me or drop it off at the office. This will be a paper file for you to save time, because I know your time is very valuable. And I will aggregate all that data in a sheet. I will process that qualitative data, and we can meet on session 4. We will prioritize the goals, because then if people talk, let's say maybe 5 members would say broadband. It might not be necessarily the word of broadband, but internet connection, et cetera. It's all going to be grouped in one as priority one. Then if there are any clusters of similar feedback, I'm going to cluster all them together. It might be 5 clusters that will come up or 7. And at session 4, we're going to prioritize out of these 7, which ones are the most important 3 top priorities for the county board to address in the next 5 years. And I will need for this the maximum 1 hour, 20 minutes. And I think I am done. If you guys have any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
How long have counties been doing this?
Different counties. And I know for Barron that I've done, they are implementing this. They had one done in the very beginning, and what they needed was an update. And this is the exact same process that I used, which was mostly 3 hours of their face-to-face time. And then it was during COVID, we did the paper-based information collection, which worked very well. And I think I got a very good response.
But counties haven't been doing this for many years, though, have they?
Yes.
They have?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. A lot of counties have strategic plan. It kind of helps them keep on track. And, a lot of times when organization goes off the track, they say, okay, what did we think about this 3 years ago? And you kind of can track if you accomplished all those steps.
Okay, do any departments do their own strategic planning and bolt it onto the county plan?
They can, of course. So they can, if it's a county-wide strategic plan, certain department can kind of go under the umbrella and say, these are the goals of the organization, and we will somehow be part of that bigger picture.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. O'Brien.
Ms. Wilson had hers.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Having worked on the Sawyer County Comprehensive Plan and its update, what's the difference between strategic planning and our comprehensive plan?
Very good question. So comprehensive plan would be a collection of information and data, economic impact on all that from your townships. A strategic plan would be specific for the county to come up with the goals and keep the county's activities in aligned with what they decide. Again, that might change in 3 years. You can revise the strategic plan anytime during the 5 years or even after, but it will at least keep you for the next 2 years for sure on track of what you're trying to accomplish. It's an organizational structure, but comprehensive plan is county-wide, includes the townships and all that. It's a broader, bigger, which includes economic, agriculture, natural resource, forestry, etc., all other fields. Strategic plan is the structure and alignment of the organization with people with the board, pretty much. I hope it makes sense. It's hard to explain.
Just real quick, I just want to say, I think you said it, I think this is a great idea. I think what you said and what I've found in the past is that the process is, in itself, is where the value is. And I think if everybody going through it, you feel ownership, you've given input, and I think it's going to make us all better board members than we are today by going through something like this.
Yeah, and I just wanted to add on Ms. Wilson's question a little bit. So I think Riga kind of highlighted the difference. I think comp plans lean a little more heavy into land, specifically land use type of activities. But in preparation, like why, Mr. Karayan's question, like how many counties have these? Not all counties have these. I'd say if you look around us, I know it's about a 50-50, whether they have a plan. And, Barron counties, the Burnett counties, the goal is to have like a one-pager. We're not looking to create a binder that we're going to throw on the shelf. This is kind of a one page. These are our 5-6 goals, or I like Barron counties, they call them directional statements. Some counties some places call them guiding principles. These are the things we're trying to accomplish. And then you start adding sub chapters or sub definitions underneath there, how you're going to achieve that. And annually, the board would revisit this plan to maybe add in specific things we're doing this year to meet this goal or directional statement. The lead up to this, it's always been like, when are we gonna start this? And then finally, it's just like, we need to launch in, because the goal for me to present this to you so that something is done as we move into the 2026 budget process, that we have this in place so that we can, you kind of use it to make decisions. I think if you would have gone, tried to do this 5 years ago, it would have been tougher because the county was more, county government was in a little bit of a crisis mode because of the budget, and you had expenses with out-of-county placements, and you were trying to make some tough decisions, and when you're in crisis, isn't the greatest time to plan. I think the county's in a better place now to be able to do this plan and look forward under the horizon of what's coming. And to do that too, I would talk to the board chair about having a speaker here next month. You all get the, or sometime in the next month, you all get the reports from Forward Analytics. And you've seen maybe the aging, and they talk about housing and the demographics. Dale Knapp does a good job of kind of coming into counties and giving you this is where we're at, this is where things are headed. If you read this, not this report, but the last one on the aging population, even though there's been a good migration of people into the county, which not all counties can say that, you're gonna see a balloon of older individuals, and they're gonna have demands for services and needs, and how do we account for that? And also the preparation to do this plan. I did ask departments to start giving you like an annual report the last couple of months as to what they did last year, what's it look like in the future, just to get the board more prepared as to our county services. The other thing is there is a wealth of information already available. As we enter into our planning process, we will make it available to you if you want to do some reading just to get better background on the county. Because in addition to the comp plan, we have a land water plan, we have a county forest plan, we have an economic profile, we have a housing study, there's a community health needs assessment, a community health improvement plan, county plan on aging, that have all been put together. These are all separate reports, but different agencies and the work they do, and they all have good information that gives you background on what's happening in Sawyer County. So we will aggregate that and put that someplace if you want to read up before we launch into the process. It would be beneficial for the board to do that. Now it's just kind of, if you're overwhelmed and don't want to do this, you can say that, or if you want to go ahead, we just want to give you the opportunity to discuss that.
I make a motion, we move forward on the strategic planning process.
Second. A motion by Mr. Righeimer, second by Mr. Evans to move forward with strategic planning prison. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Number 11, zoning, chair report, Mr. Buckles. Thank you, Riga.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The zoning committee will hold its monthly public hearing tomorrow at 8:30 in the morning. The last month's meeting of the committee approved 2 conditional use permits and recommended approval of 2 rezone cases, which will be heard next. The multi-dwelling development ad hoc committee has conducted their second meeting, with the 3rd meeting scheduled for next Thursday at 2 p.m. Additional meetings are anticipated to work through the conflicting language within the current zoning ordinance. And that ends my report, and turn it over to Jay.
Thank you. I also had a year-end report that I'd given out to the board members. I don't know if you want me to go through that at all, but you can certainly peruse that. We kind of showcased what we completed as part of our 2024 goals and objectives, as well as what we're anticipating or tasks that we want to tackle as far as the 2025 cycle. Also included in there are some graphs and charts of our permit history over the last few years. And you can see with those charts the exponential growth that we've seen in permits issued, at least over the last decade. If there's no specific questions on that, we can just certainly jump right into the rezone cases. First rezone we have is rezone number 25-001, owner's longtime trust in Anderson Enterprises located in the town of Hayward. Parcel ID number 01094121106 and 01094121101. This ultimately is a swap of land. The purpose of the request is to rezone approximately 1,299 square feet of commercial 1 from tax ID 12315 and approximately, from tax ID 12319 and approximately 1,572 square feet from residential 1 to commercial as part of tax ID 12315. As part of the attached maps in the packet, there are some diagrams that showcase the actual swapping of land. Now, the swapping of land is a little bit conflicting in that one portion of the property is zoned residential one portion of the property is zoned commercial one. If you keep going one more slide, it'll actually showcase, yeah. So there's the swap of land. So the landowners are in conjunction with each other to make that line straight. But when you make that line straight, you have mixing of zone districts. So again, we're proposing that those are two separate zone districts there. As part of the town board action, motion was approved. There were 7 additional notification letters sent out to adjacent property owners. 1 was returned with no objections. Again, Town of Hayward approved the rezone request of a vote of 5-0. Sawyer County Zoning Committee approved the request of vote of 5-0 with the findings of facts included within the staff report.
Ms. Elson.
I make a motion to approve rezone 25-001.
I'll second that motion.
Motion by Ms. Hessel, second by Mr. Savinsky to approve. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And then I guess letter B is the resolution. Letter C is the next rezone case. This is rezone number 25-003, William and Ashley Strabel. This is located in the town of Hayward. Legal description is parcel 0109413333408 is 1.25 total acres zoned residential 1. Purpose of the request is rezone from residential 1 to commercial 1 to have an equipment repair business. You had heard a couple of the public comment speakers specifically on this rezone case. The nearest C1 or commercial zone property is approximately 675 feet away to the south, located in the town of Bass Lake. The nearest C1 zone property located in the town of Hayward is approximately 1,800 feet to the north. The Town of Hayward Comprehensive Plan does show this as future commercial. In accordance with the policies of the plan, commercial development should be encouraged to locate near incorporated areas, existing business developments, or along collector or artillery roadways. When rezoning is requested, only that portion of land necessary for the completion of the rezone shall be viewed. While this wouldn't be viewed as spot zoning and it would align with the town comprehensive plan, the zoning committee, did weigh in on all those decisions. There were 9 additional notification letters sent out to adjacent property owners within 300 feet. 2 of those were returned with objections, and additional objections were heard at the public hearing process. The town of Hayward recommended a denial of the rezone request as a vote of 3-2 on January 14th. The Sawyer County Zoning Committee public hearing on January 17th, it was recommended for approval of a vote of 3-2 with the findings of facts included in my staff report. The town of Hayward then, on January 22nd of 2025, submitted a resolution of disapproval to the county clerk for the subject rezone case pursuant to Wisconsin statutes 59.69 sub 5 sub E sub 3. In essence, this resolution of disapproval effectively takes away the jurisdiction of the county. County board should not approve the rezone in the affected town by actions of the resolution of disapproval, but still the county board needs to take action on this subject rezone case. I would then also refer you to the resolution as item D as part of the agenda.
Mr. Buckles.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to deny the rezone position as set forth in the resolution. I'll second it.
Motion by Mr. Buckles, second by Mr. Newman to deny the rezone. Discussion. Mr. Van Atten.
I just need clarification. So it was denied by the town, but it was approved by zoning the first time?
Correct.
3-2.
All right, and then you said that by statute, we have to deny?
There's a provision of state statute in which a town affected by a proposed rezone, if they file a resolution of disapproval with the county clerk, it effectively takes away the jurisdiction of the county to move forward with that rezone. We do also have legal counsel online. This is the first I've ever seen this type of resolution used or the statute used. And certainly Rebecca could fill you in more with that, but effectively it does take the jurisdiction away from the county in trying to approve said rezone.
Mr. Zavisky.
So we can't vote to approve it tonight then, right?
That's what we were advised. That's correct.
Your mic's not working, Rebecca, if you're trying to speak.
Encourage the board not to approve the rezone. Mr. Kozlowski did a great job of summarizing the applicable legal provisions in the statutes. And from a timing standpoint, because the town filed its town resolution after the zoning committee had made its recommendation, that's why we're still here tonight. The statutes contemplate that the town would file this type of resolution before a county zoning committee would make its determination, but it did not. The legal effect is the same. And again, if you've had a chance to review the resolution, it sets forth all of the legal reasons why, again, I highly encourage that the county do not approve this rezone.
The applicant could come back later down the road to the town.
Board of Appeals?
As according to the bylaws of the Sawyer County Zoning Committee and the Sawyer County Zoning Ordinance, the applicant would have to wait 12 months from the date of the public hearing
That's right.
process in which the rezone case was heard.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion? We have a motion and a second to deny. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Kowalski. That takes care of all zoning, correct? Number 12, Public Works Committee report. Mr. Helwig is not here this evening. I will tell you that we have a great maintenance department, and they do a very good job of keeping the snow out of here so the public can get in. They keep our building clean, and I praise them how well they do. Out at the airport, Mr. Leslie constantly keeps us abreast of what's going on out there. A reminder that they will be resurfacing the runway this summer, I believe in the month of May, so the airport will be shut down at that time. That'll hurt a lot of businesses. And in the highway department, we have our highway commissioner here tonight. He keeps the guys busy and the roads are clear. And if you look out there tonight, they weren't too bad coming in, and pretty good chance it'll be pretty good going home tonight.
Main Street is a little covered.
Well, that's the city. Also, we have a resolution ordinance established by the terms of Sawyer County Highway Commissioner, Mr. Alvarado.
Yes, so the appointment of a highway commissioner is outlined in statute. Statute allows the counties to establish the term of office for the county highway commissioner. If the county does not have an ordinance determining that, the default is the statute, which is a 2-year term. So the resolution does two things. One, it reappoints Mr. Pino as the highway commissioner, as he is up on his 2-year term. He was approved in March 16th of 2023. This would approve him for a new term, and we dated it just to start at the beginning of this past year, so it's retroactive to January 1st, 2025. And then it also establishes a new county ordinance that we do not have in the books, that would, now let's read it. In the event of a vacancy in the position of highway commissioner, the county administrator shall present to the county board the name of one person the administrator decertifies as qualified for the position of highway commissioner for the county. If confirmed by majority vote of the county board, the person so selected shall serve until the first Monday in January of the second year succeeding the year of election. Upon reappointment in the second year, the county highway commissioner shall serve an indefinite term as highway commissioner for the county, commencing on the first day of the month following said election. The highway commissioner may be removed by the county board in accordance with Wisconsin statute 1710, parent 2. So effectively, that's what we're doing, is he's served his first term, we're reappointing him, and now he will serve indefinitely. And going forward, should we need to appoint a new commissioner, that same process will be used. Most counties at this point have established an ordinance limiting the reappointment process for the commissioner, just as it's doesn't really promote long-term planning if you only have somebody working on 2-year terms. Second is that they can be removed at any time per the statute by the county board. And 3, it is somewhat of a chilling effect if you're always working under a 2-year term and boards change. So we think this will promote, not that we need to worry about it, but the ability to attract future future candidates for the position.
I'll make that recommendation.
I'll second.
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Van Ness, second by Mr. Newman. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion? Opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations, Mr. Commissioner.
Find a way, Mr. Commissioner, to keep the deer off the road when we go home.
Number 13, Public Safety Committee, Mr. Buckles.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Sawyer County Public Safety Committee met on February 6th. The bug tussle is not going to be an option. Mr. Pelletier from GenCom spoke to the committee about the proposal for the radio network improvement and has been discussed for many months, and stated that the 2023 RFQ project bid numbers are still in effect. Mr. Pelletier stated that leasing towers may be faster and cheaper than building them, but GenCom is writing a proposal to present to the Tribal Governing Board for discussion on leasing space on the WOJB tower. Circuit Court Judge Isham, a verbal recovery court, truancy and diversion, stated that small claims mediation programs is freeing up counter time and moving cases along faster. Clerk of Court presented a written report and agreed that the mediation is a cleaner system for the courts. Sheriff's Department, a written report was provided and reviewed by Lieutenant Rapinski. Jail report was provided by Lieutenant Wooler, and the Huber officer and court services financial position has been filled. Communication Center Management, EM Director, Deputy Rapinski has provided a verbal update. The annual joint powers agreement for municipalities were returned and signed. A grant was received for field training and 36 seats have been filled. The SSESA and school meetings were attended. The call volume is up. Code enforcement specialist, Ms. Olson provided a written report that provided showing revenue, shelter admittance, and calls were for dogs running at large. Ms. Olson is becoming more involved in the TRH and the water code enforcement. Child support was written and provided. Emergency services, Mr. Fremmel reviewed the new ambulance. He presented a written report of calls down by the town crew distribution, and progress will be reviewed 6 months. A written EMS report will be provided. Andy, you want me to read that one on the Round Lake one, or are you gonna cover that? Okay. On a meeting with the towns of Round Lake, Hunter, Spider Lake, and the town of Hayward to discuss adding a third ambulance garage due to the concerns about response time, a building could be provided by Round Lake at the cost of about $500,000. Staffing an ambulance right now would cost additional $750,000. There's not enough EMS personnel in the county to staff a location at this time. And that ends my report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
If respectfully, if I could just make one edit to that, the Round Lake would provide the land for us to provide the building on for estimated cost of $500,000.
Thank you.
You want to go into letter B, the Sawyer County Radio?
Yes, the Public Safety Committee did approve the resolution in the packet regarding proceeding with the public safety radio system improvements. This resolution is largely the same one you saw in October that was turned down at that time. We're back with it because at this point we've exhausted the bug tussle option and any partnerships there for tower development. And this is largely just to get us all on the same page and start moving ahead with the project. At this point, we have the system somewhat designed, but still need to secure either tower leases, or if we can't get affordable leases in the areas we need them, building them will be an option. But this just outlines that we're moving ahead with the public safety radio improvements, that we know that they serve our local law enforcement, EMS personnel, fire departments. We need to make improvements. It's gonna require upgraded equipment and new tower locations. And this will achieve a desired 90% radio coverage throughout the county with 95% reliability. Present time, the estimated cost as initially designed is $2.825 million. And we're asking just for the board to approve that we can move ahead with this with GenCom. Enter in any contracts necessary, and that should say this is not any contracts to build towers, that'll be totally separate. This is just with GenCom. They've been really good to work with us. We did contract with them after an RFQ process in the end of 2023. And so they're managing our current network, and then part of that RFQ was for them to move ahead on recommendations for a new network. But at this point, we really just need to have them on contract for this project with the goal that we'd be back here within 2 months to present a final budget and design for the project.
Mr. Buckles.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to proceed with the public safety radio system.
Second.
Mr. Evans. Second. Motion by Mr. Buckles, second by Mr. Evans to approve to move forward with the project. Any discussion? Yes, Mr.
Evans. I had talked to Andy about this, and if is the sheriff still here?
Yep.
So in the time we've been doing this, and you know, there's quite a few of us that are law enforcement or prior law enforcement on here. Technology is changing at a rapid pace. So I talked to Andy to have him check into rapid radios. That was another option that I wanted to get a couple of these to have the sheriff try out. Since then, there's been T-Mobile that has got together with Elon Musk with these satellites that you would have no dead spots whatsoever for cell phone coverage. And as these things are going, I just don't want to go forward. I know we have a need, but we're talking about 2.4 million or what have you with technology that is getting passed up with this microwave or whatever these other things are. And I think we should still slow down to try these other options that are possibilities before we go. And later on here in our agenda, we're actually, there's more fiber that's coming in. There's more towers that are coming in. There's more in the last 7 years since we've been doing this, since the grant money has been going on. They're getting so much more that we went from a county that we had one option to now we have so many options. And I think as these things change, we need to take that into account.
Mr. Newman, do you have something? Anybody else care to comment? Yes.
Listening to Mr. Van Etten, this communications system has been up and out there for a long time, and it just keep putting back because somebody thinks that there's something might be better out there. Well, they thought Buck Tussle was the answer, but look at what happened to them. So I think we just better be moving on with this and not be getting stuck with something else that won't work and still put this behind more than what it is. We need to get going on this. It's been out there long enough.
This is Gary Pelletier from GemCom. I just wanted to comment, I mean, the industry has not moved forward at all with using LTE as a reliable means for public safety communications. Normally, cell towers are the first to go in a lot of communication disasters, Katrina and other things like that, and really two-way radios are the only reliable public safety means of communications. As a supplement, yes, but as your primary, I've never seen it used anywhere in the United States.
Mr. Alvarado.
Sorry.
Yeah, I got your tongue. So we have a motion and a second to move forward with what is presented. All in favor of the motion? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Letter C, animal draft ordinance.
So this has been discussed starting last fall in the Public Safety Committee about the jurisdiction over cats within animal control and their ability there to, and this is, I guess, more specific to what I would call stray cats or domestic cats, and removing from at the crest of the Public Safety Committee, after much discussion and conference with our counsel who handles these cases, the committee directed that cats, domestic cats specifically as defined in the ordinance, be removed from the ordinance, and that's what this ordinance does.
Ms. Hessel.
I make a motion to approve the animal control ordinance.
Let me just say too, sorry, the changes are highlighted in yellow in the ordinance you have.
So do you just need that as written, as presented, with the highlights in yellow, to be specific?
Mr. Haney.
I'll second it.
The motion by Ms. Hessel, second by Mr. Haney. Any other discussion?
I'd like to make a statement. Free-ranging and feral cats do pose a significant public health risks to public health and safety. They are the most common vectors of rabies in domestic animals, and it's unclear how many free-ranging cats are currently vaccinated. Cats can also transmit several diseases and parasites to people, including cat scratch fever, plague, ringworm, hookworm, salmonellosis, leptospirosis, and toxoplasmosis. So to have feral cats running around without any control, I think is a risk to public health and safety.
Any other discussion? Hearing none. We have a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Number 14, Land, Water, Forest, and Resource Committee. Mr. Rickenheimer. No, excuse me. I'm sorry.
Thank you. Yeah, Land, Water, and Forestry Committee met on February 12th. Highlights of our committee meeting include a report from County Forester Greg Peterson. Indicated that 15 timber sales were active in the month of January. Timber revenues were a little over $264,000. And an additional $197,000 revenue has been billed out. They're doing well on timber sale inspections and tract establishment this year. And also the recon of the acreage. So other than that, Good Neighbor Authority is still alive and well. They've got 595 hours of timber sale establishment administration contracted for this year. Nothing new in Oak Wilt. There's still going to be working on a possible trail system with the Sealy Trails Association. Going forward, ATV, UTV, snowmobile trails are going to be part of the report on a monthly basis. Nothing new on the carbon credits. In addition to the county forester report, we had a report from the DNR where Dave Totis gave a verbal report on road work at the Lake of the Pines down by Winter. And we also had a report from the Forest Service. Adam Lassell stated that the Forest Service is working on a 22,000 acre project in the area between Moose Lake and Loretta and Draper to rejuvenate aspen and create openings for the elk herd. They have 8 timber sales planned for 2025, producing about 13 million board feet of timber. A big item on the agenda is request for a temporary bridge in the town of Winter. There's a bridge that crosses the Thornapple River down there, on what's called the Thornapple Grade. That bridge has been condemned and it's cutting off a large portion of the county forest down there. And it's unlikely that bridge is going to be repaired within the next 3 to 5 years. So the town of Winter is requesting county aid to install a temporary bridge. And Mr. Alvarado presented an option for the county to purchase a temporary bridge for $85,000 that could be reused in the future, with the town of Winter paying cost to transport it from Pennsylvania and install it. So I guess that's, also we went over wildlife damage claims for 2024. And we had a total of $30-some thousand of wildlife claims, which are reimbursed by the state to the county. So the county isn't out anything. And that's about it for the report.
Thank you. Nice job. Number 15, Health and Human Services Report, Ms. Wilson.
The Health and Human Services Committee met on February 11th. On our committee reports, Mr. Schuman reported for LCO that the new health center will be open in April, and a combined women's and men's shelter is helping people stay warm this winter, and the men's sober living facility is at full capacity. The Senior Resource Center, Mr. Savitsky, reported that the Raise the Roof fundraiser raised about $36,000 towards the goal of $50,000 needed for a new roof at the Senior Resource Center. Ms. Lyons presented a glossary of HHS acronyms and reported on efforts to improve staff and interagency connectivity through biweekly meetings. The AODA Behavioral Health Services program has been undergoing a transition, and staff supervisors are meeting monthly to keep a handle on the budgeting process. In adult long-term care, we had 37 walk-in people asking for information and assistance. In dementia care, there were 6 family consults, and at the Sherman and Ruth Weiss Library, there is once a month a memory screening. It's on the second Tuesday of the month from 10 to 12. In adult protective services, there are 65 open investigations, 14 emotional abuse, 25 self-neglect, and 31 financial exploitation. Sawyer County and LCO continues to support each other on cases involving tribal members. Behavioral health, Ms. Lyons reported that updated crisis forms have helped reduce involuntary patient placements. And child protective services, there were 5 new referrals and we have 35 ongoing in supervision. We celebrated Erica Prince, who through her good work established legal permanency for 10 Sawyer County children in 2024. On economic support, there were 1,106 food share cases, 1,407 Badger Care, 217 elderly blind disabled, and 174 long-term care cases that were addressed. The call center received 6,963 calls in the month. In public health, Ms. McCallum stated that respiratory illness and hospitalizations has been increasing in January, with influenza A being very prominent. The department participated in a tabletop exercise which was on flooding and contaminated wells. And it was really impressive, the preparedness of the Sawyer County agencies and the emergency operations. I commend them on their excellent work in that area. Ms. Lyons presented written reports on the budget, and we're doing pretty good on that. And that's my report.
Nice job. Thank you. Any questions for her? Hearing none, we'll go to Finance Committee reports.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Finance Committee met on February 13th. Treasurer's report from Mr. Lehner. We provided a written report. 42 parcels will enter the NREM process. January and February tax settlements have been in progress since January. Town of Winter, we discussed the request for assistance in temporary bridge. Mr. Karayanin already discussed that. We approved that is in our committee, and that passed. Finance Department report, written reports on sales tax revenues, the 24 budget performance report, and December CIP spending were provided and reviewed with Mr. Markran. HHS and highway spending were over budget in 24 and need funding from the general fund. The 25 budget was adjusted to anticipate increased expenses. Mr. Markran also gave us an investment update, reviewed written reports showing the interest earned at the county's accounts. Rates started to fall in January, but are still good. The Ampersand CD is yielding good interest returns. CIP purchases, a new ambulance, the email migration project for the Sheriff's Department, TASER upgrade projects are recent CIP expenses. Legal fees by department, zoning, and general government saw the largest outlay in legal fees in 24. And then the EMS ambulance report, Mr. Markran reviewed written reports on ambulance billing. The county continued to see about 36% collection rate in the aging report. Detailed statistics were reviewed. The new ambulance billing company, EMS MC, will be providing an improved report starting next month. And that ends my report.
Thank you. Letter B, resolution to allocate funds to approve purchase of the temporary bridge. Mr. Alvarado.
Thank you. I'll explain the resolution and the project in general details, and I'm going to give the Highway Commissioner a 60-second warning. I'm going to ask you to fill in the blanks after that. Thanks. So as you've heard from a couple committees, we discussed this in the Land, Water, Forestry Committee meeting, the Public Works meeting, and then in the Finance Committee. And we have a number of bridges throughout the county. A number of them are in not great shape, and there's a particular bridge in the town of Winter that deteriorated rather quickly, so that it was not even part of the bridge program, as we call it, not in line to get funded for repair or replacement, but had deteriorated enough that it's no longer able to be used. It's just unsafe. So that bridge has been closed. It's the Thornapple Grade Bridge over the Thornapple River. In the town of Winter, it is an important access point into the county forest and allows people to access our public lands, but more importantly to the county is its primary route in and out of the county forest for loggers to harvest our county timber sales. So the township and the bridge closure is probably going to be in the range of 3 to 5 years if we're lucky before it can be replaced. So that's a significant amount of time to not have access to that county forest block. We anticipate that either county forest sales that we have in that block will go unsold or be at a significantly reduced amount because of the additional transportation time it would take to access those sales. So the town of Winter did send a request to the county to ask for assistance in a project to put a temporary bridge in place. The town identified a used bridge in Pennsylvania from the manufacturer, but it is used, that would be of adequate size, length, and weight capacity to allow logging trucks to cross it. The total cost of the project is $140,000. The actual bridge cost is $85,000. And so looking at how it might be best for the county to assist in this, and given our financial interest in having a bridge there, we propose that the county would contribute $85,000 the cost of the bridge, and at the end of the project, retain the bridge as a county-owned temporary bridge. Beyond this project, there are very well gonna be other bridge closures around the county that this bridge could be used for, rented out to other towns, surrounding government units outside the county, or even we have a number of county forest blocks where we have potential for forest sales that are difficult to access because of water crossings. So either we can only sell them when there's certain weather, or they just don't get sold at all. So we think there's value in having the temporary bridge in our inventory. The county forest budget had a surplus of more than 500,000 last year. That's the amount of stumpage that was collected over what we had budgeted. So the resolution identifies that as the source of funds. And the resolution, if adopted, would approve acquiring the temporary bridge structure, allocating 85,000 of surplus forestry revenue from last year, and that after this use, we retain ownership for the bridge for future use. And from there, I'll let the commissioner explain, how the current bridge has failed, why, the process to replace it, and then a little more detail on the new bridge, or the temporary bridge.
Okay, so here's a little bit of history of how we got here. So this, the last inspector the county had, this bridge has been a sufficiency rating in the 50s. And so anything below 50 would be eligible for bridge replacement. Well, the last inspector that the county had really didn't do their job. And when I came in and I hired a new bridge inspector, and this is one of the first bridges that we inspected, and we posted it at 10 tons immediately per WSDOT. Well, nobody was abiding the 10 tons and completely destroyed the deck on top of the substructures. So WSDOT advised us to shut it down. So that's kind of how we got here. Bridge funding is coming out this year. This bridge will be going in for funding. So a little, on the new bridge, it's a 2017. It's 14 feet by 60 feet. It comes in two sections, 8 foot by 60 foot long, weighing 37,000 pounds per section. It has only one lane of traffic, a 14-foot clear usable zone. So it's gonna have stop signs and everything on each end and bridge ahead warnings. It has an HL93 loading, which is an engineered loading. I'm not an engineer, but it's the way they do the loading to support log trucks. It also will support a 9-axle, 94-ton combination weight with speed restrictions at 10 miles an hour. But again, that would require a special permit from the town in order to haul that heavy of a load there, which probably would never happen. The steel structure is in excellent condition. It's a timber deck bridge. The timber on it, which typically a lifespan is 5 to 10 years. That bridge will have a new timber deck on it upon delivery. The structure has been well maintained and they've had lasted over 35 years. There's no need for DNR permits or no stream work will be taking place. And so as soon as this bridge gets set, which won't be till the spring, it'll have initial inspection by KBIS and then it'll be inspected every 2 years per WSDOT. So this could be here, like I said, 3 to 5 years. But with all the other town bridges in our county that have big issues, I can see this bridge moving throughout the county to help support the towns. We're pretty good on the county system, but the town, especially the town of Winter, has some issues. Leonard has some issues, and I just see this bridge kind of moving throughout the county. So.
Thank you, Mr. Buckles.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I'd like a motion to approve allocating funds and approving for the purchase of a temporary bridge structure to assist the town of Winter.
Mr. Haney.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Number 17, economic development.
Thank you. The Economic Development Committee met on February 10th. We had a University of Wisconsin Extension Department report from Ms. Nucky gave a written and verbal report on 4-H, the Positive Youth Development Program, Heart of the North, Legislative Day, and community health care programs, which includes substance prevention, youth adult partnerships, and youth advocate for community health program. The department's motto is extension is out in the community. Ms. Gregorian gave a written and verbal report on the NRCS grant received with LCO for food sovereignty programs. The funding is approved but on hold. A TSAT grant will be applied for in April, which combines science with art. The project will feature tribal art murals and may serve as a tourism site. The committee asked about including youth on the county board, and Mr. Alvarado agreed it can be done and will investigate it further. Hayward Lakes and Visitors Convention Bureau. A written report was provided and was reviewed by Ms. Simmons. Effort to bring in tourism revenue despite low snowfall totals include a YouTube series called Crappie Chronicles. Yeah, not enough, I guess. New advertising for ice fishing on Milwaukee radio and Google ads. Snowmobile trails are open and hiking and snowshoeing are popular winter options as well. Economic Development Corporation report, Mr. Lemuru gave a written report on the Governor's Economic Conference. The EDC is writing a grant to obtain funding for a building for the business incubator after the Thrive funding reports runs out. Fundraising efforts with local sponsors are ongoing, and information is posted on Facebook and the EDC website. An accounting profit mastery course was offered on January 8th and 9th with 9 people in attendance. The 25 through 2030 library plan. Mr. Alvarado stated the need for a committee to look at planning for the library system. The motion was approved to create this committee. Motorized trail and non-motorized trail report. Ms. LaRue provided a verbal update on snowmobile trail conditions and stated that the Sawyer trails are open and rated in fair condition. Businesses on the Flowage report good revenue, but outlying areas are seeing winter numbers lower than last year. ATV and UTV opportunities are available throughout the county and use is steady. Mr. Duffy reported on the Berkey. Recent snow and cold temperatures are promising for the race to extend through to Hayward, which we know that to be the case. The decision will be made at the meeting. Well, we know that to be the case. Telemark has been busy hosting races from other Midwestern areas without snow with the snowmaking machines that they have up there. Broadband update. 2 BEAD endorsements were approved and a third has approached us, which we approved in the meeting prior to tonight. Historical Society. Mr. Ferguson updated the committee on projects including a fence and gangster exhibit. There is a new board member that they have, and a citizen has donated videos from the 1940s to the society. And that ends my report.
Thank you, nice job. Letter B, resolution, Mr. Alvarado.
Yes, every 5 years, the county is to adopt a library plan, and then annually, every 5 years, the county is to adopt a new or updated library plan. And then that plan is reviewed annually. I believe historically that's been kind of an informal process where the library directors and some of the library board members work on updating that plan. But really, per statute, and this is all described in Chapter 43 of state statute, the county should have a county library planning committee. The county library plan is necessary for the libraries in the county to be a part of the system. In our case, the Northern Waters Library Service. And the statutes also outline that the county library plan should be, like I just said, adopted or prepared by the county library planning committee. They make any changes to it, hold a public hearing. Once they approve it, they file it with the county board. So the plan for the upcoming 5 years has actually been updated, but we realize we need to kind of halt that process and get a library planning committee in place to complete the process. So this resolution formally designates a county library planning committee. This would be a standing committee that we would appoint annually. And it would be comprised of 8 members, those being the Sawyer County appointments to the Sherman Ruth Weiss Community Library, the LCO Ojibwe College Community Library, the Tice Public Library, which is the Winter Public Library, the 2 appointees to the Northern Waters Library Service from the county, and then along with those, the library directors from each of the 3 county libraries. That makes up the 8 members. So you have the resolution that would establish the library planning committee, and then item C would be the appointments, and these are based off of who we have already appointed to these to the Northern Waters Library Service and the county libraries.
Mr. Evans.
I'll make a motion approving a resolution establishing a county library planning committee.
I'll second.
Motion by Mr. Evans, second by Mr. Newman to approve. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Letter D.
Did that motion include B and C?
Yes.
Okay. let's see here. Item D is considering a BEAD endorsement. So you've seen a couple of these come through the board already. We approved endorsements for Mosaic and Norvado to apply for BEAD funds. The BEAD endorsements are due at the end of this month. And last week, we received contact from a third company requesting endorsement. And so the Economic Development and UW Extension Committee met prior to this meeting to consider that endorsement due to the timing is of the essence. Bertram Communications is a telecommunications broadband provider from the east side of the state. They're based out of Random Lake. They've received endorsements from a number of counties in that area. They did outline some of their past projects around the state with the committee. They are moving into this area, and they did request endorsements from the surrounding counties of Price, Washburn, Ashland, and Bayfield. I know Bayfield, I believe they're going to approve their endorsement. A couple of the other counties did not endorse Bertram, primarily because they've already gave endorsements to other companies for the same territory that Bertram was requesting. When we did our endorsements for Mosaic and Norvado, we did it based on a town level. So we approved, like, I believe Mosaic for Sand Lake, Hayward, and parts of Bass Lake. And then Norvado we did like for Spider Lake, Lenroot, Round Lake, Hunter. And I might be missing a couple, but regardless, when I talked to Bertram, I told them we did not want to dilute our endorsements. So we were not going to endorse them for any town that we'd already endorsed for. So that's why the endorsement they're seeking is for the towns of Coudray, Edgewater, Draper, Meteor, Ojibwa, and Winter, for those towns. Now, as has been asked, if you are familiar with broadband in Sawyer County, you know that Draper has partnered up through a prior grant with GigFire, and they're supposed to be servicing all of town of Draper. If you go to the BEAD map, there is one BSL in Draper that is currently eligible for funding. So that's why Bertram included Draper. Similar in Edgewater, they're largely served already by Mosaic, but there are just a handful of BSLs, broadband service locations in Edgewater, that are not served and are eligible for funding. So the committee did approve the resolution to give Bertram an endorsement. The other thing I told the committee is that the areas that Bertram is asked for these endorsements, we have not given anybody an endorsement. And even if we didn't give them an endorsement, if nobody else applies for the BEAD funds in these areas, they're still going to get them, because it's basically first come, first serve for all these BSLs. So there potentially is going to be competition between other companies that already are in those areas but are not applying for BEAD funds. But I think the committee went ahead and approved it because it's good to get these funds used so that we can continue to see broadband fiber deployed throughout the county.
So all we're doing is giving a letter of support.
Yes, that's all we're doing.
Mr. Buckles.
I'll make a motion to approve the BEAD endorsement.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Mr. Buckles, second by Mr. Righeimer to approve. Mr. Van Nant.
I had talked to Andy about this before, and some of the reservations I have with the broadband, of how many companies we have coming through and how much area of right-of-way we have left. And my first question to Andy is, a couple years ago, when there was litigation on that with the Draper, is that going to be in conflict now if we approve that for the Draper, if they're going with what they wanted to?
No, I did get an email from the town of Draper asking why. We're just approving their endorsement to follow these, apply for these funds and get the points. We don't have beyond them any control of where companies want to install broadband. The state has determined, I should mention this, everybody that's applying for BEAD funds had to file a letter of intent last summer, and they're like basically pre-qualified by the state to be able to access these funds. If you did not file an LOI, you cannot apply for those funds. So yeah, there should be no litigation. Specifically, Dill, if you want to back up to your question about right-of-way, I have talked to the commissioner, and if you want, I think he could answer your questions about how we're handling right-of-way requests and how we're maintaining the as-builts for those.
Well, because now that we're getting 5, 6, 7, 8, we in applicable places in town where we have sewer, water, power, we're running out of areas for these to keep coming through.
Yeah, and I
so.
can't address the in town with the sewer and water, but you can answer about your control over the use of the right of way.
Yeah, when they submit, the permits, we see the design where it's going and everything, and I do request as-bills once it's completed, sent to the county highway department that keep records of, so we know what side of the road, where it's at.
Any other discussion? We have a motion, a second to approve. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Letter 18, County Administrator Report. Mr. Alvarado.
I do not have a report for this month because pretty much everything we're talking about tonight is the report.
How about letter B, CJCC draft minutes? What do we have there?
Let me get down to it here. CJCC report, we're still continuing to see, I would say these are good numbers in our jail. We're averaging still around 60 to 70, last days we're down in the 50s for a number of people incarcerated. We also are receiving another grant through the Reaching Rural program. That's a $100,000 award that Justice Point was able to secure for us. There's a deflection training coming up. That's part of the grant that we applied for with the Sheriff's Department last year to assist their deputies in making decisions in the field. The peer recovery program is operating through the Public Health Department. Youth justice is the area we're struggling with the most right now. If you're in the Human Services Committee, you know that we ran significantly over budget under youth justice, and that's basically our out of county placements for juveniles in some type of a detention facility. This is now a monthly discussion at CJCC to do some of the same things we've done in the adult area with youth diversion and truancy court to try to address those issues before they result in youth being detained and placed in treatment facilities outside of the county that are significant cost to us. We have, one of those grants has contracted with an entity, Serona Recovery, which is a sister company to Justice Point, which does all of our adult pretrial diversion and treatment court work. LCO updated that they have repurposed some of their shelters to accommodate men and women. And then they also have the sober living facility in Oakwood Haven. The other item that I brought up at CJCC is that we have an MOU with LCO. Our CJCC is a joint CJCC with LCO. And you recall we approved an MOU with the tribe last fall. That was actually for all of last year. And so the MOU has expired already. So we've opened up discussions with LCO on putting one in place for 2025. Hopefully they'll have that. Hopefully that'll be a much more, a much shorter process than it was last year to come to an agreement. And then Julia Lyons, our Human Services Director, and Judge Smith from LCO did attend the NACO CJCC Peer Exchange in Denver, and they'll give a full report on that at the March meeting.
Good, thank you. Letter C, resolution. It might be smart to read that resolution. What do you think?
You want me to read it?
Sure.
I can do that. So this was a resolution that was put on to the administration committee. Obviously it is the result of the discussions regarding the petition for the Callahan Mud Lake District, but specifically is not going to affect that process. This is more of some feedback from the board and the request to put together a resolution for consideration to ask the state to make changes to the legislation, the statute regarding lake districts. So whereas and I'll read through the resolution. Whereas in 1974, Wisconsin passed legislation allowing the formation of lake districts, and whereas Wisconsin Chapter 33, Subchapter 4, Public Inland Lake Protection and Rehabilitation Districts establishes the parameters of lake districts, including the formation process through petition to a county or town board and their operation after formation. And whereas through legislation, lake districts have been given legal standing with the ability to tax and eligibility for cost-sharing funds and state assistance. And whereas the process for formation includes submitting a petition to the town or county board showing the proposed name of the district, statements about the necessity and benefit of the proposed district, proposed boundaries, and petitions from 51% or more of property owners within the district. And whereas the petition needs to set forth that the proposed district is necessary, that the public health, comfort, convenience, necessity, or public welfare will be promoted by the establishment of the district, and that the lands to be included will be benefited by such establishment. And whereas after filing of the petition, the receiving entity must hold a public hearing within 30 days, compile and submit a report on the hearing to the full legislative body within 3 months, and take action on the petition within 6 months. And whereas if the district is approved, a preliminary board of commissioners is appointed until the district can elect their own board of commissioners as outlined in statute. And whereas once the district is approved by the county or county board and an initial Lake District Board of Commissioners is approved, there is no future local oversight and the Lake District operates independently and can continue in perpetuity. And whereas the ability to create a Lake District is beneficial, it is often done to address a specific project with the ability to levy for expenses. However, the district can continue to operate and levy once a specific project is completed. And whereas statute currently does not allow the approving body any discretion to put limits on how long the district can exist, the ability to reauthorize the district, ability to monitor the district, and determine if the original intent is being met, to verify that the described necessity for public health, comfort, convenience, and public health are being promoted. And whereas the inability of the approving body to address these potential concerns and exercise discretion in the case of a new municipal entity with the ability to levy creates reluctance in approval of new districts. Now therefore be it resolved that the Sawyer County Board of Supervisors does request that the legislature amend Chapter 33 of Wisconsin statute to allow town and county boards the ability to add conditions to their approval of lake districts that would address the length of time a district can exist, the ability to reauthorize a district, and monitor the work and performance of the district. Be it further resolved that upon approval, this resolution is distributed to surrounding counties, the legislators representing Sawyer County and surrounding counties, and the Wisconsin County Association. Information contained in this resolution was recommended for adoption by the Sawyer County Board of Supervisors at its meeting on February 20th, 2025 by the Sawyer County Administration, should say committee, that word's missing.
Ask a question. Who would monitor the work and performance of the district? What committee? All of us, or?
I think that's the detail that we didn't, it's not included in the resolution, but when the legislature were to amend it, they would have to detail that.
I make a motion to approve the resolution as written.
I'll second that motion.
Motion by Mr. Egerheimer, second by Ms. Hessel to approve the resolution. Any discussion? Yes.
What about how, when we had the public speaking and whatnot, and all the letters that we've received, what is happening with, so this is, if this is formed and then this is gonna go forward, what about the outlanders that were encompassed in this that they don't want? And then also, do they have the 51%?
This resolution has zero to do with Callahan and Mud Lake.
Okay.
Take that conversation out.
All right.
This is just, and if board members want to weigh in who have discussed this or asked for this to be brought to the administration committee, this is more about, during the process of reviewing Callahan Mud Lake, there's some
Questions that came up?
Yes.
Okay.
And everybody's become more informed about lake districts. And this is looking like, if this were to happen, you're looking at years before the legislature probably can adopt it and write new rules. And so this is just, adopting this would be the opinion of the Sawyer County Board that the legislature could make the statute better.
Thank you. I think that was a good way to say it, to make it better. I mean, the way I view it, it gives a third alternative. I mean, you can say yes, you could say no. Or if you had this third alternative, you may put some conditions on it, sunset clause only for so long, or whatever that may be. As I think each lake district that may come up down the road is going to be unique in itself. It may be easy answer yes, easy answer no, or maybe a third option is, just as Andy said, you put more restrictions around it and don't, I think it's a serious responsibility. I mean, if you create this, it's probably forever. It's more government, it's more taxes. And in some cases, I don't think it's as easy as a yes or no.
Thank you. Anybody else have any comments? We have a motion and a second to approve the resolution request. All in favor of the request? Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Number 19, Board Appointment Committee updates.
I have one, Mr. Chairman. This afternoon, we had a Nemacoggin Transit Board meeting on employee update. They currently have 31 employees on staff with 2 out on medical-related leaves. Currently hiring for a part-time 22 hours a week position for Barron County and a part-time weekend driver. Dana Olson is now retired. She was the fiscal manager out there, and hired Julie Manville Camp, and she brings a lot of experience as a physical manager to take over Dana's job, and she did an excellent job while she was there. In response to the data we received from the survey we completed in December, we're starting a monthly bus route from Loretta/Winter area going to Rice Lake for the day. Their first trip is scheduled for Thursday, February 27th, 2025, and they already have 5 riders scheduled to go. All staff training day is scheduled for April 24th, and they will be closed for services on that day. This is advertised on Facebook and their website. January 2025 ridership was up 4,524 riders, up 142 rides from January 2024. That's it, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Anybody else have anything? Let's carry on.
Thank you. Northwest SEP and Indian Head Community Action Agency both receive large portion of their funding either directly or indirectly from federal grants. As such, both entities are concerned about the potential for delays or reductions in future grant funding to impact their ability to continue the level and quality of services they provide. In the case of SEP, which is now meeting every other month, we had a board meeting yesterday in Ashland, and part of the board packet was a monthly report, which I will make available to Economic Development and UW Extension for the next meeting. I can include that in that meeting packet. And they also came out with a little newsletter for February. Very informative, and I think the entire board would be, advised maybe to check on that. The SEP board packet, as I said, is going out to the 10 county boards in the SEP service area to keep everyone better informed of what SEP is doing in its role in workforce development. So in addition, in January, shifting gears, I was selected to serve on a number of Indian Head Community Action Agencies committees. Strategic planning, we've been going over risk management, plan for the insurance end of the business, and also the community needs assessment. Every 3 years, they have to do a community needs assessment to see what's changed out there in terms of the demographics. The executive committee looks at grants and vendors, the 2025 insurance for Indian Head, and updating the CEO succession plan. They want to make sure that's in place, so if something were to happen or we lose our CEO, we'd have a plan in place. And also the finance committee. And right now they're going through the selection process for an auditor to review 2024. And next Monday, Indian Head's Finance Committee meets, and that's going to be followed immediately by a full board of directors meeting. So that's what's happening.
Thank you.
I have a library report, the final accounting came in for 2024, and we had a deficit of $32,000. So the Friends of the Library Foundation, and the committee all got together in a special meeting to brainstorm some fundraising for the library. We're going to have a all-library fun day in June, and we are also having an author's night in August with William Kent Kruger as our presenter. So we're hoping that we can raise some funds there. I also have a committee meeting. Ron and I go to the Housing Authority, and the Housing Authority owns 82 properties. They manage an additional 13. They have 3 openings. They have a 1-year waiting list for their properties.
Thank you. Anybody else have committees to report on? Are you gonna say something? Okay. Under number 20, correspondence reports, we've also had some emails that came in regarding the Lake District, and the names of them emails that asked to be read. We told them we wouldn't read them, but we'd list their names. And the county clerk has their names presently.
Yeah, we have like 5, 6, 7, 8 pages of these emails every time, and people want them read, and that would take too long. But they are in my office if anyone wants to see them. Scott Schultz, opposition to the strawberry zone. R. Van Carol Olson, support for Callahan and Mud Lake District. Boudreaux Family Trust, support for Callahan and Mud Lake District. Lake District Organizing Committee, support for Callahan and Mud Lake District. And some of those letters, the last batch of them, they just got uploaded today to that website on the Zoning Conservation Lake District page.
Thank you.
Can I just clarify too? We get these emails, you get most of them, and people generally want them read into the record. Well, there really isn't a record to read them into. We don't put them in verbatim, so they do get filed. All the ones she just read, you should have all received either directly from those individuals or from the clerk. So that's the approach we're taking, so that we're acknowledging receipt, but you should already have them in advance.
Thank you. Future agenda items, the Lake District will be on next month. We have to make a decision, and it's gonna be on land and water also.
Land water, yes.
So, and if anybody has anything they would like to get to the county board agenda, please contact the clerk, administrator, or I, and we'll certainly do our best to do that. Thank you for your valuable time. Meeting adjourned.